Wow. I'm like, where do you start? You guys have really been through it.
We have been through it, but we're still standing.
Yes, you are. How does it feel to be back home, reunited with the family?
They say the fire didn't burn them, it forged them. Todd and Julie don't describe prison as the end of a chapter, they call it necessary. Not a word you expect from people who lost almost everything. That's why this story hits different. It's not about survival, it's about who they became when survival was the only option. Coming home wasn't a parade, it was a recalibration. The cameras were there, the hugs were real, the silence after was even more real. Being back under the same roof doesn't erase the days that split a family into separate lives. They're still counting what was missed, school events, dinners, a routine that used to anchor the house. And even with the chaos swirling around them, both parents say the same thing. Family matters more than anything. That's their starting line, but it's not where the tension ends. You can hear the ache in Julie's voice when she talks about the milestones that vanished, the drop-offs she didn't make, the bedtime check-ins she couldn't do. She was that mom who never missed. Then she missed everything. And Todd, who's used to being within arm's reach of his people, says the hardest part was losing the daily conversation, the quick texts, the "you home yet?" the sit-down dinners that make a house feel alive. That absence stretches your heart thin, but absence also rewires how you see the world. Here's the twist. They found something good in the pain. Julie says she met women she'll love for life, people she wouldn't have crossed paths with any other way. She learned to sit with other people's pain, not just her own. Todd says he got a clearer mission. He understood his limits. He says God humbled him to a level that put him shoulder to shoulder with people he admits he once would have judged at a glance. Tattoos he used to side-eye became stories he respected. Surfaces stopped mattering so much. That shift doesn't make the time easier, it makes it meaningful. But that wasn't the whole story. While the world debated headlines, Savannah lived a different battle. Overnight, she became the anchor at home and the lightning rod outside. Grayson and Chloe needed structure. The bills didn't pause, the brand didn't run itself, and the legal fight didn't go quiet. She says she spent every day pushing, calling, networking, showing up where decisions get made. That hustle pulled her onto stages she never expected. Political conferences, TV segments, a primetime moment at the RNC. She built a microphone from scratch and learned to use it. Say what you want about her tactics, she didn't hide. She kept moving. She pitched, she pressed, she found doors and stood beside them until someone let her in. If there was an event in DC, she learned who would be there. If someone could help, she says she made a beeline and told the story fast enough to matter. That kind of persistence doesn't just change perceptions, it creates momentum. And momentum, in this family's version of events, ran headfirst into a headline that changed everything. Pardon. 2 syllables, 1 firestorm. The family frames their release as tied to presidential action, and they've described personal conversations that followed. Supporters call it justice, critics call it power at work. The country rarely agrees on pardons, and it didn't start now. For the Chrisleys, the result is simple. The door opened. You can celebrate that or rage against it, but it's the turning point they can't stop talking about. Here's why that matters. A pardon doesn't erase public opinion. It doesn't rewind time. It doesn't dissolve the weight of restitution or the memory of headlines. It does something else. It forces a second act to begin while the first act is still echoing. You can feel the double pressure, proving your innocence in the court of public opinion while rebuilding trust inside your house. That pressure is exactly where the new series plants its flag. This isn't the old glossy sitcom energy. It's closer to a diary with an audience. The family insists they have nothing to hide. They promise documents, references, and a place online to check what they claim. They name names, point at alleged missteps, and vow to show what they call the real story behind the legal saga. If that sounds like a gamble, it is. Transparency is a power move. but only if your receipts hold up. And when people already decided how they feel about you, receipts don't change minds, they challenge them. There's another thread running through all of this: reform. The family talks about prison conditions, the way time inside hits everyone outside, and how juries shape outcomes long before appeals. Whether you agree or not, their message is clear. They're not just rebuilding a brand, they're building a case, and they want you to watch it happen in real time. But let's be honest, the heart of this story isn't political, it's personal. The most fragile rope in the house is the one between siblings. Savannah says the last 2.5 years taught her who showed up and who didn't. She carried a lot. She resented a lot. Chase didn't experience it the same way she did. He didn't respond the way she wanted him to. That gap isn't small. It's a canyon. And the family admits it's not mom and dad's job to bridge it. That's a tough stance. It's also real. You can't fix adult relationships for adult adults. You can only tell them you love them and step out of the blast radius. Boundaries are the word of the day. Savannah says she's choosing them for her sanity, for her future, for the version of herself she wants to be now that she's not a stand-in parent. She says she wants the sibling relationship back, but it's going to take hard conversations and a different kind of effort. No cameras can force that. No viewer can vote it into existence. If it happens, it'll be because two people decided to lower their defenses at the same time. Until then, the space remains. Unverified, but loud. The internet has its own theories. Rumors suggest producers are leaning into the sibling rift because conflict drives ratings. Reports claim there are debates over who controls the narrative, what gets aired, what stays private, who approves what. It's been said that money and contracts sit under some of the tension. Who gets paid, how, and for what? None of that is confirmed. It's buzz, not proof. But anyone who's watched reality TV knows the incentives are real. If conflict converts to views, you're going to feel the pressure to keep the conflicts visible. There's also an even touchier thread of chatter, again, unverified. The family has publicly said a key witness is now under scrutiny by investigators. They present that as validation. Independent confirmation is still murky. That's why this series is walking a razor's edge. If the promised documents line up, the audience leans in. If they wobble, the blowback will be brutal. Either way, the gamble guarantees attention, and attention is the engine of the second act. On the softer side of the storm, there's something else going on with Todd. He talks about control differently now. He says the time away broke his belief that he could steer everything. He calls it surrender. He calls it faith. He calls it a reminder that he's not in charge the way he thought he was. For a man whose brand was built on always having a line, a plan, and a punchline, that's a serious shift. It doesn't mean he went quiet. It means he's choosing his volume. He's not shy about regrets either. He wishes he'd been closer to the numbers. He wishes he'd signed every check. He wishes he demanded better systems, tighter oversight, and a more ordinary life for the kids. Less spotlight, more structure. That kind of hindsight hurts. It also teaches. He says he wants to be a safe place now, give advice, then step back and let adult kids make adult choices. The line he draws is simple. I love you. You can land here. You won't always like what I say, but I'm still your landing pad. Then there's the line between mission and marketing. The family says the Bureau of Prisons invited Todd back to speak. They framed this as proof that his voice matters inside the system he just left. Skeptics call it optics, supporters call it impact. Either way, it's smart positioning. Reform isn't just a talking point, it's a lane. It gives purpose to pain. It also gives a comeback shape that doesn't look like pure reputation rehab. In media, purpose is a shield. It doesn't make you bulletproof, but it keeps you from looking clueless. The docuseries tries to balance those moves. Transparency without oversharing, emotion without melodrama, receipts without drowning viewers in documents. That's a tough edit. Fans want honesty. They also want a story. Too polished, and it reads like spin. Too messy, and it looks like chaos. The best moments land somewhere in the middle, where people don't say the perfect thing, they just say the honest thing. That's when you stop judging and start listening. Savannah's journey sits at the center of that gravity. She says she won't carry shame for what happened. That's not defiance, it's survival. Shame keeps you frozen. Refusing it keeps you moving. She talks about learning to work the system the way the system worked her. How to send emails that get answers. How to make phone calls that get returned. How to turn a closed door into a crack and then into an open one. You can dislike her politics and still respect her hustle. Both can be true. And that's what complicates the audience response. Some people see a family turning pain into a platform. Others see a brand milking outrage. The truth is probably a knot of both. They need the show. They need the money. They need the narrative. They also seem to need meaning, some mission that justifies everything they live through. Those needs don't cancel each other out.